Hi, Peter. I'm Snir. Nice to meet you. I can't hear you. I think your mic is muted.
You're on mute. On mute.
There we go.
Oh, now
Hello,
we can hear
everyone.
you. Hello.
Lovely to connect.
Nice to meet you.
You
Finally.
too. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for agreeing to join. This is
No, it's my pleasure. My pleasure.
so we have. I think there are a few more members that are supposed to join. So well, in a couple of minutes they will join. So first, let me introduce myself and our group. So my name is Snir Adari. I'm 48. I live in Israel, in the north of Israel, and I've been doing CE5 since 2018 with members of the community in Israel. And along the years, the group expanded and became a very large community. We have, I think, 1,300 people on Facebook, and we have several hundreds on the WhatsApp groups. We're doing CE5 events all over the country once in a while. The last one was yesterday, and we had another one 2 weeks ago. We had a lot of sightings in the sky during the years. Some of the community had even more close encounters. So we are all into it. So this meeting is exclusively for the CE5 community in Israel. So most people you'll meet here today are into the thing. They will know what you're talking about. I asked everybody to watch the film or read your book or do something to get a little bit to know you. So we're not starting at point blank, you know.
Yeah.
So and I think you're an inspiration for all of us. What you're doing, your experiences, and especially what you're doing to raise the consciousness, to promote disclosure, and to teach people about their true nature and the nature of reality. So first of all, we'll do it. I have a lot of questions, and I'm sure everyone has. So I'll start with some questions on my own, and then people will ask, okay, what they want, and we'll do it. We'll flow, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay. So first, maybe we want to get to know a little bit better about, you know, a little bit about your personal life. How old are you? You have your family status, what you're doing daily, you know?
Yeah. So I'm 41 going on 42 in November. And I come from a small town called Albury, which is on the border of Victoria, New South Wales in Australia. So it's known as a small city now, but back then it was a small town. My father was a police officer for 38 years, and my mother had done a lot of different jobs, from secretary work to window dressing to a bit of modeling here and there. They split up when I was 4, but they remarried, and very tight relationships. And my stepfather passed away a couple of years ago, but my dad and stepmom are still together. So I was just like, we could say, most kids, just into music, into sports as well, basketball. I did a lot of karate as a kid because my dad taught a dojo. And my experiences started at a young age. But I did go into being a drummer in different bands, doing guitar, things like that, and did a lot of janitor work, so a lot of cleaning work for a lot of different years. But I also studied counseling and psychology, had a number of different jobs. And it wasn't until around, don't quote me, but I think 25 to 27, when the experiences started to become basically an everyday thing, where at that time I had a number of people with me during day and night, where there was a spout of 6 sightings in 2 weeks. One of them ended up on the news. I was even contacting the Australian Air Services at the time trying to get answers to what Will was seeing and filming. And let's just say it got crazy from there and hasn't stopped. So that's just a brief overview. We could go in depth into my earlier life as well, but that's just a quick thumbnail sketch.
Mm-hmm. So some people would say that you are the modern Billy Meyer. You know, Billy Meyer was in the 50s was one of the lead contact people, and he was contacting the Pleiades. He was taking pictures of their craft allegedly. So what do you feel about this comparison to your relation in specific with the Pleiades and the relation to Billy Meyer? Do you feel some connection?
Not really in my own way, just because if you go back, even myself working here with Ulukai, Brendan Murray, and some of the Aboriginals, they talk about the Pleiadians coming here a very long time ago. To some extent, some even speaking that they created the Australian Aboriginal to incarnate in. This is part of the Australian Aboriginal history. I work closely with James Gilliland at the ECETI Ranch in the United States, who's also in contact with Pleiadians, but there's many people in contact with different variations of the Pleiadians as well. So I think we're all brothers and sisters at the end of it, like on a huger, on a spiritual scale. But I don't really compare myself or see it like that comparison. I think it's just because I'm experiencing what I'm experiencing and I don't know any different.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think you were chosen to have this kind of contact, this kind of very intensive contact since you're very young? Why didn't they appear if they want to help us evolve? Why didn't they show themselves to everyone? Why it's so difficult to make contact, you know?
That's a very laid and a very good question, but a very laid answer from my perspective. Of part of this has got to do with who we are in our being of vibration and frequency, our emotions, our feelings. Now, there is a flip side to this, that when people are in dire situations, in life-threatening situations, even when they have out-of-body experiences, they have these spiritual experiences. But there's also part of being the observer in these contact states. So I believe, and I can't prove this, so that's where I'll say I believe, but I actually know from my personal experiences with some of what I'm telling you now, that part of this has got to do with who we are before we step into the human experience. And also that things can change when you jump into the human experience, meaning you could set the stage that you having contact, and I actually believe every single person on the planet is in contact with something. So that's my own personal experience. I don't think one person isn't having contact, but we're not educated on our thoughts and feelings. But when you step into this experience, you don't know what you can handle. And this is where, with some of the beings I experience, I can get my bodily reactions cannot be, let's say, a good way for me. And other beings, I'm blissed out. So sometimes I think people think they're going to come into the human experience and have contact, and it doesn't work out. The brain glitches, they have post-traumatic stress, they can't get past it. And it's a very laid situation, because how people respond when they have contact is different. And like myself and James and others, we've seen people absolutely lose it, and you never see them again, because they thought they like get a flying saucer, land it here right now. They see an orb or a being materialize in front of them, and they can't compute it. It's not that they're weak, it's the way that the body's reacting in it. So people like James, who's had near-death experiences, as well as myself with my own experiences, that's been part of what we could say a conditioning to handle contact to an extent. But I think that's part. It doesn't make me special. I think to some extent the stuff that's come with the contact has been quite testing in my own life, with the criticism and things like that, which it's to be expected, because unless people have experienced what they have, they've firstly they should question. But just the programming going against what they believe and they can't prove, going against what I can say, people can absolutely lose it and attack you in many different ways. So I think there's a lot that's on the peripheral when people are, we could say, chosen to a certain extent to be in a position in the public eye like myself having contact. But that's just a sort of a roundabout way that I can answer that, because it is a very laid thing and there's a lot of stuff that I don't talk about. But basically, I think it's frequency and vibration and how we can deal with those trials and tribulations.
What can we do if I want to enhance my contact and to make it more strong, more than light in the sky, and I want to have more direct contact? What do I need to do? Do meditation, nutrition? What do you recommend to focus on?
So when all this got crazy to the extent that it was quite a number of years ago and it's plateaued and sort of stayed there, what I will say to you is, yes, meditation is key, but I was doing about 8 to 12 hours of not just meditation a day, but also remote viewing. And I was doing the style that they were doing for Project Stargate with the US government.
Mm-hmm.
Now, later on, I got to experience a type of meditation called Vipassana. There's Vipassana retreats all around the world. Now, these are usually settings that you will go into for 10 days straight. There's no eye contact. There's no talking. There's no electronics. Your food's made for you. I went into that and it was a breeze. I levitated twice. I saw orbs coming in the room and dark orbs leaving people. Like there was a spiritual awakening of sorts, as well as a huge cigar craft I saw in that setting as well. But you're not allowed to talk, so I'm going like this for people to see it, but they, you know, nobody was looking up. But my point with this is 3 days into that, and I've told people to do this, and I don't think Vipassana is the only way. I think it's just like a module, a setting, something to experience. But when you're in silence for 3 days, you start to go into a state that you realize that your vibration. Also, the pineal gland can start to crack open. So what happens is you start to see stuff with your eyes open that you normally wouldn't. You start to realize, rather than theorize that your vibration, you start to feel every molecule actually vibrating, because we've shut up for a few days and you're not talking, you're not being bombarded with the 5 senses. So as simplistic as that sounds, meditation to an extent, at least trying something like I'm describing once is good, but usually by the 3rd day, people pack up and go home, because a lot of stuff that needs healing comes to the surface and people can't sit through it. So the traumas are always going to be there. It's like if I get a knife and stab somebody, that wound can heal, but there's a scar. Mm-hmm. And so it's getting to the point that we can be with the scar in our own, we could say, experiences that we've had, but be the observer, because when the contact happens, being the observer is absolutely key in the contact state. So there's 2 ways, or 3 ways you can really go about this, and probably more, but you can freak out, you can be the observer, or as you can hear in some of the videos, you can be like a giddy child like I get, where I'm laughing and screaming, and because people are with me and the energies is so blissful. Also, people to experience this with you is awesome. So I think meditation's a #1 thing, as well as diet. Also who we surround ourselves with, but also what we do for our work and our passions. So what we do with our soul and our energy and our time, and it being productive with this civilization as well as our own soul, I think these things are, if they're congruent with who you are as a person, that's sort of setting the stage really for that higher contact. But it's not for everyone, and it's not because they're not worthy. It's just depending on where people are at on a spiritual level in the earth human experience.
Did these experiences gave you some insight about your soul origin? Are you a starseed? Are you do you have some kind of mission? Did you get any specific instructions from the beings that you're in contact with, like to what you're gonna do?
Yeah, so I knew what I'm doing now I'd be doing probably about 10 years ago or more, actually more than that, which is I've got the Sanctuary now where people come for just 1 or 2 day workshops, and we do CE5 and other things. So that was part of it. But I was given a lot of my knowledge of who I am in an experience, pardon me, where I was on a couch, a lazy boy, and I had the only way I can describe as a liquid energy come into me, and I flipped off the chair, and this voice said to me, more of you. So not long after that, I started to have what I'd say is flashbacks and a knowingness of my lifetimes here and, well, in this galaxy, in this dimension. I am what we could say is a starseed, but what got to me down the track, and in understanding this, because I was seeing and know a lot of experiences as light beings, and what I'd say is beyond light, is with the contacts with beings known as the Elohim. Now, the Elohim to me is our highest expression, our God self, all of us, our highest expression. So the way I describe this is, imagine my body as God. Each cell that makes up this is you, me, and everyone. We all make up that, and we divide from that and go fractal and experience the many beautiful mansions within Source's mind, God's mind. And so the star seed, the way I'll describe this is, a lot of people I've met, because I've worked with over 5,000 people with doing readings and what have you, very rarely will I come across people that have not experienced any incarnation except being with Source, and they've come here. And in those cases, they've downloaded other people's experiences as sort of like a program to handle the human experience. But in every other case, people have not just been in Lyra, the Pleiades, Sirius, Arcturus, but they've been in galaxies that we don't probably even know of yet, or even got reference for. Mm-hmm. Because it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, or 300 lifetimes or 1,000 lives. It's quite overwhelming and amazing what we've actually experienced and what we actually are experiencing, because what I come to understand over time is that reincarnation exists, but it doesn't, because all the lives are happening at the same time. But if you understand reincarnation, it now opens your mind up enough to understand how all of it's happening at the same time. If you can imagine a spider web, the middle of the spider web would be your God self, your Elohim self. All the other points, the intersecting points, would be all the different lifetimes happening from that web, going out multidimensionally, 360-degree unbounded simultaneously. So I've done a lot of different things in different lifetimes, all sorts of things, from, you know, being somebody that was like an elder where other people would get advice, to just being just an average person that's, you know, nothing special. And I think from my experience, we've done it all from all perspectives, which gives us the knowledge in the soul, but the wisdom's how we implement that. Mm-hmm. And that's what, you know, the journeys are about in each lifetime.
Is this some insight that you have a conscious memory of, or was it did you bring it out in the QHH2 or with the session with Mary Rodwell?
No, so nearly all my contact is conscious. At that time, from what I knew, that was the first time, the incident that I had where I was with a friend and we had missing time, that was the first time it had ever happened. Now, I'm sure maybe there's a couple of cases. And I've done regressions 4 times, but I stopped doing them. They started turning the cameras on and off, the lights on and off. People were in the room seeing the orbs appear and this happening with devices being turned on and off. But there was not much new that came from it. And as they were saying to Mary, I was being stubborn. I wasn't listening to my own inner guidance, because if I couldn't have witnesses with me and film the experiences, I thought I was going crazy. So that's why it was great that people have been with me for a lot of this stuff. But the regression was really to sort of confirm a lot of what I knew, but a lot of what I was scared of confronting, because of the depths that this started to go, that at that time I wasn't ready for. But most of the contact then, and even now, it is conscious contact, and people see the beings and they see the crafts, they see the orbs, and they have their own experiences as well.
I want to ask one last question before giving the other people the opportunity. Yeah, I want you to talk a little bit about your experience in the ECETI ranch. the encounter with Shi-Ji, which I know very influenced you. The picture you took of her, and how does this relate to the Jaya Sanctuary that you built in Australia?
Yes, so in Australia, it's home to ECETI Australia. James Gilliland, as we spoke about, has the famous ECETI Ranch. He's been doing this for around 40 years and has had so many different master teachers and beings go through that sanctuary that it's really a hot spot, and he's really just a caretaker of that energy that place holds. On the US government geo survey map, it's actually giving off like a huge amount of electromagnetic energy that they can't explain, and it only goes around Mount Adams and his ranch, where you actually see the crafts. It's a multi-dimensional extraterrestrial base where you see the orbs coming in and out of the mountain, which I've filmed. There's been people like myself and Master Khan who's been there and experienced the beings with people around doing workshops, and you see the beings coming with what I'll describe as, like with the Shi-Ji material, a lot of the Khan stuff that he's taken photos of. The best way I can experience is you either see it or you don't, but either way you will feel it. So sometimes with some of the photos and videos, I'm not saying anything, but I feel something, or I might even momentarily see a flash, what I call the wispy stuff, like an apparition, a ghost. And other times you will see what's going on. Sometimes it can be like the beings are vibrating in and out. So the analogy I would use for this is, imagine, and there is a scientific measurement on this, but it eludes me at the moment. But let's say we vibrate at 17,000 times a second. So quick you can't even tell it's 17,000 times. And let's say they're on 18. There's a moment where there can be a certain phase through, and that's where they can lower their frequency just enough. So just like with the crafts that I've filmed there, here, and I talk about the crafts being in apparition form. So if you can imagine a extraterrestrial vehicle as a ghost, it can land on you in bed and it's overlapping you like a ghost. It can be transparent, see-through, and you can feel it. But what can start to happen is that you can start to get a feeling. So when this was taken, James Gilliland stayed in this room as well, and somebody was there when I took this photo. But this is what I'm talking about now. With the camera is what most people don't understand, and this is being analysed by Jason Gleaves, ex-UK Air Force and Aerospace as well. But what happens is that the focus is hard because the camera doesn't know what to do, because something's phasing in and out, or it shouldn't be there, but then it's picking it up. So it's going in and out. But this is a prime example of beings appearing like apparition and their crafts landing on you like a ghost, to where you could be in bed at night and think that you've gone on board a craft. Now, you could, because what's happening is they can start to interface with the pineal gland and resonate with it. You think you've even had a dream and on board a craft, or you're looking up and you're on a table, but you're in your bed. The other way is that they can resonate your consciousness and pull you on board the craft. They can also resonate with your consciousness, pull it on board and put it into an avatar as well. And they can physically resonate and bring you on board that way as well. It really depends on the technology, who the beings are, and what's a safe, productive manner for the contact in most cases. So, but yeah, that's normal stuff. Like, I've got a lot more stuff with other beings than this that are a lot clearer, which is why I focus on other material. This was taken, I believe, probably 7 years ago, but there's a lot clearer imagery, even in videos. So I tend to focus on that because it's a lot clearer, and it's a case-by-case basis of how clear and what the clarity is with the evidence. You know, by the time you experience what you experience, the evidence is what it is. Even though you can recreate, as you know, CE5, you can go out, set the intention to see a vehicle. It's about you meeting them halfway and them meeting you where they can, and it's a case-by-case situation. So the ECETI Ranch has had tens of thousands of people go through there over the years, And if you ever get a chance, I do recommend it, but you don't have to go anywhere. Like I say, you don't have to even come to Jaya Sanctuary to experience this. You just need to set the intention. That's all it is. But I do recommend clearing the space and being specific in your intention, because there are also intelligences that don't have your best interest at heart that can appear, because the overlap between the paranormal, ghost hunting, UFOs, abductions, and spiritual experiences, it's all blended together. And if you're not very precise on what your intention is, it's just a matter of time, unfortunately, that people can experience psychic attacks and things that can be unproductive, but can actually be blessings in disguise as lessons on our own spiritual evolution and journey.
Okay, so I have a lot more questions, but we don't have a lot of time. So please, other people, if you would like to ask anything, just please raise your hand, or virtually, or just, okay. Tom.
Hi.
Hi,
Peter. I would like to ask you, what are the signs would you suggest we look for that would indicate a successful connection during our session of CE5?
So I'd say what you feel internally in the heart, in the energy on the body. It's like we tend to find a lot of people will feel things but not see things. But you've got to go by your own inner guidance, what's success for you, because we could say, look, filming a craft, everyone's saying something. Yes, that's great. But it's when you connect psychically or psionically with these other intelligences that you now go into what I call the connecting to your guides technique, which is not taught with CE5 or anything else really, which is free on the website on petermaxwell.slattery.com, ECETI Australia.org, and Jaya Sanctuary. Because what's happening is, all right, the crafts arrived, the beings have landed, you're seeing beings materialize, teleport, manifest in front of you, or you're seeing orbs. What now? Like that's the thing. We're not talking about that. Now, it's not having a go at Greer or anyone else, but my point is, right, you've made contact, which means you've set the intention to connect, the crafters have appeared, the beings have appeared. What do you do now? Well, you communicate. Most people don't get to that stage. They will get to a stage that they sit there, observe, and they got this message, that message, but it's about a peaceful dialogue and universal peace. And what that is basically coming to a point of projecting a thought, what thoughts, feelings, visions come back, project another thought, what thoughts, feelings, visions come back, to where you start to merge your consciousness. But if that level is not ready, you know, something that people are ready for, which is understandable, just the experience of communing with a brother or a sister from another world and being in that energy, even if a craft doesn't materialize or you don't see an orb, that to me is a success, let alone even the intention of making contact. That's already a success. But as I say to people, if you take filming out of the equation and the dazzle duty, as James calls it, which is the lights in the sky and what have you, and you do that with like out of camera, I say to some people, you want to come out with me and not take a camera out, this is where it goes to the other level, because the ego is now completely out of it and you're just surrendering to the situation as long as you set the mandate of clearing the space. But you've already succeeded in wanting to make contact anyway. It's just taking notice of your thoughts and your feelings to where we commune with these higher intelligences. They're actually no better than us. They're just our greater family.
I understand. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Vered?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, Peter. I'm originally from Israel, but I live here in Sydney, and I've been an experiencer since I think age 7, and even recently, as you can see, I had a little visitation here, some markings a week ago. And I'm a QHHT practitioner, psychotherapist, and I've done over 6,000 sessions. You've made some incredible points. I want to ask something. I've got 2 big questions. I'll choose one. You said before, you mentioned the concept of precise intention, you know, given that off-planet beings or otherworldly beings or ghosts, etc., it's all kind of in one soup in that field. And so if I understood, you were saying that, you know, the qualification is to have a precise intention. So this is something that, you know, I can never really understand, because I've had some clients under regression who have had a visitation and have actually demanded that they go. They have literally sent them off. That was very new for me, because I didn't know I could do that. I mean, on some level, I'm sure that I'm contracted to all of this. I realize I'm not from here. It's very obvious to me on a million levels. But when you talk about precise, can you amplify, can you just expand a bit on what you mean by precise intention? Because are you saying that, you know, the intention will be what informs, you know, the frequency of the contact? Does that make sense?
Basically, so there's a few ways with this. There are some people, like that's happened to me. I've had contact with beings that, look, I don't even initiate it most of the time. People will sit here with me and I go, they're here. We walk out broad daylight and the craft's above the house. I'm not sitting out there all night with the camera and sky watching. But when I do a sky watch or initiate contact, which is an expanded form of CE5, we go out there, we join our consciousness, we break down any tension. This is why I do group exercises like Yigong and Qigong and Buddha Palm and different things to get a cohesive energy with the group going on, because there's a difference between group contact and individual contact.
Right.
But they're both as important as each other. Now, in terms of intention, there can be contact still occur without setting intention, of course.
Yeah.
But if you're going out of your way, like I say to people, like they go to a paranormal investigation, you want to be so darn precise, because what people don't know, and I know some of the top investigators in the world, they're doing a form of prayer or clearing before the investigation, during it to prevent possession, or they can feel an energy attachment going on, and then afterwards. So just because something's extraterrestrial doesn't mean it's got your heart at its, you know, heart as well. Which is why the situation is the world that is what it's in, because of negative non-human intelligences working through humans that have created a scenario, whether people want to admit this or not, that's the situation. They're not human, and some are extraterrestrial, some are what I call beyond extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
Now, this is why you want to be precise. So the litmus test that I can tell you after all the contact I have is this. How is what you're going to experience or what you're about to do or the information you received, how's it helping you be a better person, be of service, and bring love into your life? Because if it doesn't meet any of that, I would question where it came from, the connection that you had, and going any further. Because I've worked with over 5,000 people myself, and I can tell you now the amount of people I've had to clean up from CE5 that don't know what they're doing, or paranormal investigations, and their life has gone to crap because they open up to anything and everything. And I've been picked up by the throat. I've been scratched. I've seen a door ripped off its hinges. So people who tell me that the paranormal cannot manifest in the physical do not know what they're going on about. So this is why going out there and just opening yourself up to the universe is the last thing I will tell anyone to do.
Yeah.
You have to be very precise that you want to connect with your greater family that are in line with the awakening healing of humanity and universal peace. If you are not going out with that, it's just a matter of time before, as something as simple as a psychic attack, where for 45 minutes, an hour, you could be thinking of something that happened 20 years ago, and it feels like your heart's being pulled down, you start to get anxiety. That is a thought form attack at the very simplistic form, which a lot of people get from opening up to CE5 if they're not trained in clearing negative influences. So James has been doing this for 40 years, and Gree has been doing it a long time as well, but people are unaware of these implications, and they say that all extraterrestrials are positive, and that is not the case.
Agreed. I agree with everything you said. Just one little qualification, if I may. As a psychotherapist, what I find is, you know, the determination of whether the experience was a good one or a bad one, the determination as to whether the contact was benevolent or malevolent, in the end, doesn't it depend a lot, Peter, on how we end up framing the experience?
In some cases, yes. In some cases, yes. Now, I will say that there's sometimes that there's a catch-22 with this. You may go by my criteria of what the fruit is and see none, but 10 years later, you have an aha moment. Because sometimes we're not at the level of consciousness to understand what's going on. Even though we push for the answer, they can give it to us, and we're like, what? That doesn't make sense. That's a trickster energy. Now, you could say the analogy that Gray uses too, you're trying to help somebody, you give them an injection or something so it helps them. They're freaking out because you're hitting them with a needle, but it's for their benefit. There is that scenario as well. But there's also the scenario of what feels right. There's something where sometimes we can even pull the wool over our eyes that, yeah, contact was made, but something could be there going, something wasn't right about it, but.
Right.
And this is where I've been at Skywatchers, and there could be a negative energy or influence come, and as soon as that person or that energy goes, all the contact happens like that. And people are like, what? And that's how we can be affected within ourselves. But it really comes down to what do you think and what do you feel? And you can be right and wrong. It doesn't matter. But as soon as you start playing with your own intuition of what feels right, what's productive, and what's the actual message or the contact about, you're on the path to success either way. It's just a lot of the time people are wanting external validation because they're not trained in multidimensional mind, which is actually a natural ability we get from children. From that age, we've all got it.
Yeah.
So I think really what it is understanding our heart, because through the heart we feel.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else has a question for Peter? Because if not, I have a lot more. Anybody else? Okay, so you were talking a little bit about the Skywatcher. Do you refer to the Skywatcher organization?
I don't know much about them. I wasn't referring to them, but I know who you're talking about.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you about their work, because what they're doing is very similar to CE5 activity or initiated contact, but they're doing it in a more structured way, and they're trying to categorize the craft they are watching. They're not talking very much about the contact they're making, but first, what do you think about their activity, and do you have also a similar categorization? Do you find similarities to what they're doing?
I don't know too much. I'm aware of them. I've watched a few things involved with them, so I know who they are and sort of what they're doing to the extent that everyone else does. I think it's great what they're doing. I think that so long as, and I don't know the 100% the protocol, because the situation is, as I've been very strong on, is making sure that you clear the space before and after, and keeping it to a mandate of basically having a dialogue between us. And it's not just extraterrestrials. It could be inner Earth intelligences, ultra-terrestrials, yes, extraterrestrial and angelic, and other intelligences. And so I think in a way they're doing similar stuff to what I'm doing here from what I do know, because even here we're doing a lot of documentation. We've got a lot of technology that we're using here. I'm not using anything like a whistle type technology, so I'm not sure. And they've got that sort of under wraps, though. People have theories about the tech that they're using. Purely, I'm just using consciousness, but we are using EMF detectors, Geiger counters, trigger devices, infrared, thermal imaging cameras, normal cameras. We're using a whole host of different technologies to document the contact, which is different from how it is when it's by myself compared to a group, which is good because we're actually seeing for the first time for me, the contact getting extremely close for groups of the public that I don't know from a bar of soap, and we're having orbs within 10 meters in front of us, or just off the ground. So what that shows is growth. What that's showing is that anybody that doesn't know each other can even get together and do heart coherence and meditate with the same intention and get these results, which is really what it's about, is us having individual contact, but it's also about us being able to do it as a group because how you have your own contacts totally different from how it can be in a group setting. And it's because of the dynamics. So it's really taking group contact to a new level, and contact in general to a new level when you can do it in a group with people you don't even know. Because that's what's happening with me. You might get newcomers to a group, but here, every few weekends, I've got people that most of the time, 90 to 100% of the group, I don't know. And we're able to sit down, we're able to meditate, and we're able to get orbs appearing in front of us, crafts in the sky, apparitions appearing, and we're able to document this. And that is what I'm sure they're doing in their own way, but they're doing it in more measured, controlled measurements, and with probably better tech in some cases because they've got funding. I've done this all off my own back. And I'm on 6.5 acres surrounded by hundreds and hundreds of acres of farmland with just farmers around me. But I'm doing it sort of in my own way, and I'm sure that they've got their plan, I've got mine. But I think as long as like for their own safety, they're clearing and got the right intention. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm aware that they're able to, or in the past there's been some talk about connecting with crafts and bringing them in, and maybe other military organizations or what have you, shooting them down. I don't think, you know, weaponizing or going at a war plan with this is the way at all for universal peace. And I don't believe the sky watching group's doing that, but from what I know, people connected to it have done that in the past, going back with other agencies. But I've controlled extraterrestrial vehicle with my mind and had those experiences as well, because you have a symbiotic relationship as consciousness assisted technologies that you're using. But I can't really comment too much on them, if anything, just for the fact I don't know them and I don't know exactly what they're doing, which I think in time we'll find that out, because I think they're just giving the public a little bit of a taste at the moment to keep people quiet until they can really crunch the numbers and get the data together to present something. Because I understand where they come from is that, hey, I'm just a dude from Australia, just a nobody. But these guys have got high credentials in military and what have you, that people are going to believe their word over mine. So when you get these people like Ross Coolhart's investigating and bringing them together and talking to them, and he's presenting it the way that he is, and you see it's different sort of military people connected together, I think that's good for the public, because if you can trust these people in a time of war, why not trust their experiences? And I'm just a normal dude. Like, there's no reason for anyone to believe me, but I am who I am.
In terms of documentation, we know Rob Freeman did a great work in documenting, but he was using $100,000 equipment. So if you want to recommend someone who do want to document their encounters and visitations, what do you recommend them to do?
Yeah, and I know him as well. I was there with it was a $150,000 camera setup we saw at James's. He was actually there filming the lights on the mountain that he couldn't explain what type of light they were. You don't need much. I would say, look, if you can get a HD camera or a 4K with decent zoom, 30 to 60 times zoom, that's good enough for daytime. Unfortunately, when you get to nighttime, with the way that the low light cameras work and what have you, I would say a great starting point would be a Psionics camera. They are probably around $1,000, give or take, but you can bet your bottom dollar as soon as the sun goes down, you're at least able to capture what you're seeing. I've gone through probably $20,000 worth of equipment over the years, and a lot of it I could have just avoided if I spent the extra dollars at the start, which I didn't have at those times. But if I had the extra money and just bought something decent, it would have been good. The other camera that I use is a Sony A7S II. That used to be around $5,000 or $6,000 to set up. You could probably get them now, even secondhand, because I don't believe they make them anymore, for probably $2,500. And from what I know, a new good camera is a Sony FX3 that can be up to between $3,000 to $7,000, depending on if you get the body or not. Or the lens connected. But really, you know, for nighttime as well, if you've got, well, I don't know how much it would be in your money, but let's say $3,000 US for a Gen 3 Plus night vision, and you get a decent camera that you can connect with that, you'd be just as good as anything else that I've mentioned, but during the day it would be useless because you can't, those types of cameras you can't use during the day. But yeah, I think if like you've seen, I don't know if you've seen, I've got a film out called Ascension, the UFO and Paranormal Connection, which is the second part to Multidimensional. That's on Amazon and it's available out there. You can see the huge variety of daytime crafts, most of it in 4K, that I've filmed over the last decade, but it goes back a decade and a half that I've been filming this stuff. So most of it daytime. So just any camera with 4K capabilities, 30 times at least 60 times zoom. I have heard about the Nikon 900 or the Nikon 1000, which their zoom is amazing in them. And I've used huge lenses in the past. But even on a tripod, if you take your hands off, they can just wobble. You can't see the lens wobble, but it will wobble. So I just think as long as you have fun, get something that can at least record, you know, with decent zoom, and you should be okay, at least for the daytime anyway.
Okay, so our time is almost up, but if you have a couple of more minutes for last questions from Smadar, is it okay?
Yeah, we can go another 15, yeah. Yep.
Great.
Okay, Smadar.
Hi, hello, thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank you for this time that you're here with us. Earlier on, you said that we just need to reach out to our galactic family, and they'll come to us in, you know, in the form of the physical or mental state of being. I was wondering regarding your encounter with Shi-Ji, was it something you have always wished for or initiated in your heart long before it happened? And then when it came to being, you felt like the intuition that something or someone is in the room with you?
Yeah, like when I look back, there was a lot, and there was times that I prayed to God. I went through different things throughout my life that were pretty daunting, from sexual abuse to being built up by gangs and all different stuff. But Shi-Ji would speak to me when I was about 7, but I didn't know it was her until the contact took place years and years and years and years and years down the track. Like, you know, I'm talking about probably like 27, what have you, nearly 30 years old. And I was seeing a lot of people that people wouldn't see, meaning spirits that had passed. I saw orbs. I saw paranormal activity quite a lot, especially in my teenage years. But it wasn't like it was more yearning for God. God, like, why do I feel like the black sheep? Why don't I fit in? Why is this world so screwed up and people treat the way that they do? Like, what's going on? And then what occurred was the first real fully manifestations were the Elohim. It wasn't long after that Shi-Ji appeared, and there was about 6 months, give or take, on and off physical contact to where she would materialize, and we would have what I'll describe as a space-time. It's like if you and me were in a bubble of space-time and we were having this conversation, but outside of our bubble, not even a second went by. It was like it was frozen. Yeah. That's what was really weird about the contacts at the start, because I think my body was glitching with multidimensional experiences, not understanding it, but you can feel them. And this is where I could even be talking to Shi-Ji if she was physically materialized. And in my mind, I'm seeing imagery pertaining to the information she's relaying, as well as getting the feelings and emotions to every flicker simultaneously. And that's how the contact works with the majority of the intelligences, including angelic and ultra-terrestrials and what have you. So that there was a yearning there, but it's like, as I say, with the original contacts as a kid, I didn't know if they were aliens, demons, extraterrestrials. I didn't have a clue what they were, but I wanted them to go. I found out later they were light beings, firstly appearing as Kurt Cobain not to freak me out, which freaked me out. And then they appeared as whitish greys, which even freaked me out even more. So it's a sense of humor on their part, but they legitimately did that because they didn't want to freak me out, and it freaked me out. So that's what I mean. You don't know what you can handle until you experience it. And no one's immune to that, I think. Any of the contactees that you meet, I'm sure that they would say there's times that they can still get startled from how the contact takes place, let alone definitely having experiences that startled them in the past.
Vered?
Thank you so much. You're an inspiring individual.
No, thank you. All of you are too. It makes it worth it. Just people doing this around the world is amazing.
Very.
Yes. I also want to really thank you, Peter. It's really very, very special, as you said, to be connecting globally. And what a beautiful question, Smada. Wow. Peter, you were saying before about the different types of, let's call it abductions, or what Professor John Mack re-termed as experiences, that some might be, I think you talked in terms of lifting the essence of the person, or the soul of the person, taking that on craft or even placing it within an avatar, as opposed to like physical. And so this is also something, with my vast experience personally and with clients, I've never really made a decision on. Do you feel that what might differentiate an experience of just taking, I don't know what to call it, let's say the energy of a person onto the craft, but the body's still there, as opposed to the body going, would be the markings on the body? Because, you know, I've had so many experiences where I've been left very ill, like I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer after having, you know, a few experiences where, you know, they took my eggs, you know, the whole story, you know the story. So do you think that when we're left with physical marks, like, you know, what this was 8 days ago was 2 dots, 2 dots, 2 dots, equidistant and perfectly straight, geometrical line, etc. And I've been very sick and I had a lymph gland. So when people are left with actual physical marks, would we be able to extrapolate that might have been the actual body going there, or not necessarily?
Again, a case-by-case, but a fantastic question, case-by-case basis. Now, you can see in the movies, I've got marks that glow in the dark for sometimes like days or weeks after I go under black light. There's even experiences that they will take the physical body, but what they do is the beings that take the physical body, you'll go to their frequency, and then what happens is they take guard of the body and you pop out in your light body form and go with light beings because the physical body can't go. Now, in that case, they can sometimes do stuff to the physical body for alterations or what have you, tweak even the light body, and then they resonate the two back together and trying to make it resonate. Now, you've got that scenario. I'm about to bring out a video where even sometimes with the scoop marks, people go, why do they need to do that with their technology, this, that, the other? Well, from what I know with clones, the more that you go down through second generation, third generation, it gets weaker and weaker. But the pinpricks, which I've had pinpricks appear on my hands with people in front of me, they've seen these materialize.
Yeah.
I was told that what they do is that little sample is connected to us. So even though they can go to another space-time, you know how 2 photons are entangled no matter where they are? You know, like you can manipulate one and the other. They said they can read me and my body anywhere with that tiny sample. They don't even need to come back. But they said, like, it depends on the race, the technology. Either way, an experience is an experience, whether it's physical or not. This is where, for me, I shut so much out because to me, it had to be physical at the start. I'm like, I'm not accepting it. But an experience is an experience. But it is a case-by-case basis with the physical marks. Of course, something's going on. Now, whether you've actually gone anywhere and they've come to you or they've taken you and done it, that's what I mean. Like, this is, again, a case-by-case thing. But this is where this is so layered, the physicality, that even in those other states, it's just as physical or if not more real there than it is here. So I think the more that people talk about this, the more that we can sort of come to conclusions or theories. But I think at the end of the day, where I'm at with this is that we're on a treadmill and we go nowhere in God's mind. That's my conclusion now. We're not going, and we already know all these. We're gonna leave here and laugh even about this conversation.
Yeah, I agree. Fantastic answer. Thank you.
Vicky?
Wow.
תפתחי מיקרופון.
So, hi.
Hello.
My name is Vicky and I'm from Israel. And you just said experience is experience, no matter what. So I want to ask about dreams and the world of non-material, and if you when people dream, they've been in places and like I give you like one example. I had when I was a teenager, I had a dream that connected me to my older self. That my older self had a dream that connected me to the same moment. Is there experience? Is there any other experience to other people about connected timeline?
A lot of us have dream experiences. So a lot of times our dreams can be bleed through of what's happening in a physical experience or a non-physical experience, and what I call multidimensional mind. So in terms of this, let me give you an example. Sometimes you can have a dream and it can actually be like what the beings can do is even a false memory. And it's not to mislead you, but sometimes you could be having that far out of a multidimensional experience that your higher self and the beings involved will make up a memory that's humanized that you can integrate, so you're left with information that's symbolic. Because if you actually saw what went on, there's no even human reference because it's beyond third dimensional. So there is cases that happens, and again, it's not to mislead, it's to give you something a heads up, a memory, what have you, the best that they can. But what you're also describing is probably a part of you, and again, I'm just theorizing on this with yourself, is probably a pinpoint of your awareness here, connecting with another pinpoint of awareness that could either be on a parallel frequency, like, you know, a parallel world, a parallel you, a parallel aspect, even the higher self, that when you start to go multidimensional mind, like there's times I can connect in that happens in some of the experiences or with the higher self, that I'm starting to tap into all lives simultaneously as they're happening. And for the human brain, that's just like about to blow out of the water, because it's like operating on a MacBook, an Apple computer that's, let's say, the year 3000 instead of 2025. The software capability and everything, it just doesn't work, but momentarily there's a glitch that you get to experience that type of power. And a lot of these, really, if not all of it, even with what you mentioned, if you meditate and you contemplate it, and to everyone here, your experiences are purely about you. Every experience you have is about you, but in that is footing and the foundation of your part in the overall collective. And it's usually got to do with passion and purpose, and sometimes communing with ourselves or source or others to help us along that way, as a signpost, we could say, at the very least. So I'm not sure in your case, but I hope that's some food for thought anyway about dreams. And as I say to people, don't blow dreams off, because in some cases they're more real than what this conversation is with us right now. It's just as real.
Okay, maybe one last question, because we don't want to take a lot of your time. We are some members of the group with me, Smadar and Tom and Nell. We're starting to build a center for the development of consciousness. It's going to be called Mitzpeh, the observatory. And we're going to do like very similar things that you do in Jaya Sanctuary, you know, seminars and trainings, and we started organizing CE5 events, different kinds of activities to promote consciousness and disclosure and awakening to our true nature. So maybe along with your experience in ECETI and Jaya Sanctuary, a little bit, some tips or, you know, some to to give us a boost, or you know, on to make us
maybe even a guidance or something.
Yes.
What I'd say is that the main thing about this is coming back to what sparked your interest in this. Now, I'm in a different situation than I was years ago. I still do what I can where I can, and it's not about money, this, that, or the other. But what keeps me going is that I had no one. I contacted a lot of UFO organizations. Never anyone would help me except a couple of years in, which was Mary Rodwell. And then I met James. So I remember the isolation, the literally walking around town, because for some stupid reason, it's not stupid, but back then I went on television to millions of people talking about this. And it, at that time, I thought it ruined my life. It was one of the best things, because not only did it toughen me up, but it humbled me, because even though I had evidence of witnesses, I thought people still aren't ready for this. And I think to an extent, they're still not ready for this. As I've spoken to with people in the Air Force and different parts of government, at least tell them about ETs, but don't go multidimensional yet, because that's just, you know, next level for them. And I understand that. I went straight to multidimensional and people weren't ready for it. But in that, I was very humbled. And not only that, many people came to me from all walks of life going, Peter, I'm a police officer, I'm in the fire brigade, I'm an ambulance worker, I'm a school teacher. I had this experience and I've got no one to tell. And so in some cases, they're in their 80s and they never told anyone what they experienced. That is what brings me back to the sanctuary every morning that I get up, when I say, God, how can I be a vehicle for you to work through and assist others? So whenever things get tough, know that the universe is making things work for you, not going against you. It's just sometimes we don't understand the process in that. But also, if there's ever butting heads or disagreements, this, that, or the other, which happens in a lot of group organizations and things like that, and we're human, this is part of contact, is even contact amongst ourselves, but bringing it back to why are you doing this? And it's going to be different for each single one of you. There's going to be a reason why you've stepped up in the way that you've stepped up in this arena of ET contact, CE5 consciousness. And if you can go back to that on a regular basis of why you're doing this, that fuel is 0 point. That fuel you can never run out of. That's untapped and it's like rocket fuel, and that is what will keep you going. So even with all the naysayers, all the people that say you can't do this, that, the other, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's okay that they think that, but you know what you're capable of. You know what you're doing and why you're doing it. And as long as you are coming from the heart, nothing can stop what you guys can do. That's the bottom line. You keep the right intention and you keep it pure, you've got a whole lot of people up there that are helping you.
Thank you so much for these inspiring words, Peter, and thank you for your time. We had a great time talking to you. I'm sure we have a lot of tens of questions to ask you, but we don't want to take too much of your time. Maybe in the future, if you will be available for another session like this, we'll be very grateful. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much.
No, it's my pleasure.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank
And
you
thank
very
you,
much,
Steve.
Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Nice
Many
to
blessings. Thank you. All
Bye
good.
bye. Thank you.
I'll let you go, yeah, and contact me in future and we can maybe do something again. But yeah, you all have a lovely rest of the day or evening wherever you are, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you very much. שבת שלום לכולם בארץ ובאוסטרליה. תודה רבה.
Many
Thank you,
blessings.
Peter. Blessings.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.